American wild dogs on its protected endangered species list. But don't tell these little guys, it's a snow day.
And finally, a sweet reunion between a baby otter and its mom in California. The pup was found alone. Morro Bay Harbor Patrol and the Department of Fish and Wildlife set out to find the otter's mother. Rescuers recorded the pup crying and played the audio over a loudspeaker in hopes the cries would alert the mother. When Mom came swimming, they tossed the otter into the water. The plan worked, and the two are back together again. We love a happy ending.
With Lola and Louie, that's this week's edition of the News Hounds Update.
Aren't those little pups cute?
Yes, they agree. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you back here Monday. News 3 at 5 starts right now.
And right now at 5, 2020 presidential possum. O'Rourke speaking to students in Madison. We're live from the university ahead of his visit.
A Sun Prairie high school teacher is facing backlash after her Facebook post about a Black Lives Matter presentation.
Plus, how attorneys are helping those with past convictions or arrests erase them from their records.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 5.
Thanks for staying with News 3. A potential 2020 presidential candidate is in Wisconsin tonight.
We're taking a closer look at the role our state will play in that election. Rose Schmidt is live at the Education Building on the UW campus where Beto O'Rourke will meet with students. Rose?
That's right. Beto O'Rourke is actually scheduled to speak behind these doors any minute now in an event that is closed to the press. That room holds about 150 people, but there is an overflow room set up upstairs, and it is filling to the brim. Now, O'Rourke is a former congressman from Texas, and he is actually one of the first of what will likely be many potential presidential candidates to come through the Badger State this year.
Well, he's clearly in the mode of exploring a possible run for president.
Beto O'Rourke may have lost the race for U.S. Senate in Texas, but he's making a name for himself on the national presidential stage.
I think it's, we're definitely seeing it heating up. More and more people, seems like, announcing every week. It's going to be a huge Democratic field.
Professor David Cannon says there's no doubt that Wisconsin will play a large role in the race as one of about a half a dozen battleground states and a place where the former Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton did not campaign.
But Donald Trump carrying our state in 2016, I think, definitely showed any Democratic candidate in 2020 they can't take Wisconsin for granted.
And that, he says, may just be O'Rourke's strategy as he came to Milwaukee this afternoon.
If we decide to run, I'll make my case, I'll tell my story. But right now I'm really interested in listening to other people's stories and what they think that they can do for the country.
And following former Vice President Joe Biden last year, O'Rourke will be the latest potential Democratic candidate to stop at UW-Madison.
He really is just wanting to come to Madison to connect with students and get a sense of where we are, what sort of issues we're thinking about.
Isaac Johnson is the president of the organization responsible for getting O'Rourke to campus.
It actually was kind of a whirlwind. We found out that he was going to be here on Friday, on Tuesday this week.
2020 may seem like a long way away, but it's never too early for O'Rourke to try and appeal to college students, the hardest demographic to get to the polls.
So he's kind of like Barack Obama was in 2008. I mean, Obama also had strong followings on college campuses, really did kind of energize that youth base.
O'Rourke has a meet and greet with students tonight from 6 to 7, and then tomorrow, Amy Klobuchar is actually headed to Eau Claire. She is a U.S. Senator from Minnesota who announced she will run for president. Back to you.
Rose Schmidt live on campus. Rose, thanks.
And now the Republican Party of Wisconsin releasing this statement in response to O'Rourke's visit, saying, quote, O'Rourke is just the latest example of a Democrat primary field stumbling over itself to determine who is more out of touch with Wisconsin families.
A new battle is brewing between the president and members of Congress. President Trump officially declared a national emergency to get $8 billion for a steel southern border barrier. The declaration comes after Congress passed a spending bill to keep the government open, a bill that only included $1.3 billion for a border barrier. Reaction from congressional Republicans has been mixed, while Democrats are calling the move a power grab and intend to take legal action.
Likelihood is that we will be filing an action very soon in court.
We have no other choice than to sue the administration.
Obviously, the president and his attorneys have looked at it. It's got to be legal for him to do it.
The money from the national emergency declaration is expected to go towards constructing 234 miles of the border barrier.
All right, let's get a look at your first alert weather as we head for the weekend. Meteorologist Dave Caulfield joins us from the weather patio. Dave?
Well, Eric, lots of sunshine on this Friday, but temperatures have remained very chilly across southern Wisconsin with highs in the upper teens, close to 20 degrees, much colder than we were at this time yesterday. Doppler track has been quiet across southern Wisconsin with the snow to our east and to our south. We've been dealing with the sunny skies as high pressure slides overhead. Temperatures right now at 16 in Madison, 18 in Mineral Point, 13 in Platteville, and 14 in Monroe. About 20 to 25 degrees colder compared to this time yesterday. So you'll notice the change this evening across the area in temperature land. Wind speeds have come down a little bit, especially compared to this morning, but out of the northwest at about 8 to 15 miles per hour, still making it feel like the single digits across southern Wisconsin. You can see some clouds have returned to the area and they'll continue to filter in throughout the evening hours, but temperatures will still fall through the teens into the single digits by later on tonight. Gary will have more on your weekend forecast plus what to expect with the next round of snow on the way in your News 3 Now First Alert forecast in just a few minutes.
Dave, thank you. We are following a developing story out of Illinois. The Kane County coroner now says at least one person is dead. This was a shooting that happened at a business in Aurora. A city spokesman says 4 police officers were also wounded in this shooting in the far western Chicago suburbs. The spokesperson says the officers are in stable condition. This happened at the Henry Pratt Company building this afternoon. Officials are not saying if anyone else was injured. Authorities did say a suspect is in custody. We'll have more on this developing story on channel3000.com as well as in our later newscasts.
This just in from our Channel 3000 Alert Center. Governor Tony Evers has ordered flags to be flown at half-staff tomorrow in honor of the City of Milwaukee Department of Public Works employee who was hit and killed by a vehicle while he was working. 54-year-old Brian Rodriguez was filling potholes earlier this month when he was hit by a car and pinned to his truck. Governor Evers' order is effective from sunrise to sunset tomorrow. Authorities say the driver ran from the scene of the crash and still has not been located.
A Sun Prairie High School teacher's Facebook post is stirring up some controversy in the community.
The school hosted a Black Lives Matter week of action. This particular teacher said she felt uncomfortable with what she says was a forced presentation. Jamie Perez is here with us in the studio with more details. Jamie?
Well, I'm told this presentation was centered on empathy and how to deal with approaching problems in a respectful way. The teacher's Facebook post says they felt they were forced to promote Black Lives Matters, but parents say that that wasn't the point. This is the teacher's post. They say they were forced to promote the Black Lives Matter movement, but for the morals it was started on, not what it's become. They go on to talk about Tony Robinson, who was shot and killed by Madison police. They say they fully stand behind the police, and then finally end the post saying the high school told them they had to promote Black Lives Matters movement, which was not okay with them. I did speak with a parent who has 2 kids at that high school. Both saw the presentation and this teacher's post. The parent says the teacher was being insensitive.
Maybe putting themselves in an African-American shoes and how that would feel to hear your teacher, the person that you deal with on a regular basis, come off and say, well, I'm really thrown off by this and I'm off put because I had to teach about Black Lives Matter. To me, that's not a strong way to build a better relationship with your students.
We did reach out to the teacher and the school district superintendent. They said they are not commenting on the issue at this time. Coming up tonight at 6, what was shown to those students in the presentation, plus how parents want this to be a learning opportunity more than anything else.
Thank you, Jamie.
A woman convicted of reckless homicide in the 2007 death of a baby boy at her home daycare in Verona is asking a Dane County judge to grant her a new trial based on new evidence. Jennifer Hancock argues in her motion that medical testimony in her 2009 trial was so flawed that even the prosecution's lead medical expert no longer believes 4-month-old Lincoln Wilbur was a victim of abuse. The State Journal reports the 48-year-old Hancock is scheduled for release in about 3 years following her 13-year prison sentence. She is represented by the Wisconsin Innocence Project, which filed a motion this week that says there's ample new evidence to overturn Hancock's conviction and order a new trial.
A particularly toxic batch of heroin is circulating the Madison area this week, causing a spike in overdoses. Madison Police Chief Mike Koval wrote that in his blog today, that the drug is likely the reason for the sudden rise in overdoses, 11 that police responded to since February 7th. And those overdoses have killed 2 people. Chief Koval said loved ones of people suffering from heroin addiction are encouraged to monitor them and assist them in avoiding situations that could result in an overdose.
Local attorneys, along with the Urban League of Greater Madison, are helping those with past convictions or arrests erase them from their records.
This could help them secure a better job, education, and housing. Our Amanda Quintana is here with more on today's clinic. Amanda?
Yes, well, right now, about 90 to 100% of employers do background checks on potential employees. If it shows you have a criminal past, that is a huge barrier to getting a well-paying job. So local attorneys want to help people both understand what comes up in their background check and if and how they can get rid of that criminal record. You can prove you weren't convicted of the crime you were arrested for or meet certain requirements to expunge a conviction. Aubrey Johnson currently does maintenance for Dane County, but says things he did when he was 19 and 24 years old are preventing him from moving up to a better position.
They're like, no, I'm sorry, you know, your record checks out. We have a lot of good references and stuff, but due to the stuff that you have on your record, we can't do anything at this time. So it really kind of hurt me, you know what I mean? So I had to take a lot lower paying jobs, you know, throughout my last 20 years.
He hopes once he works to expunge his criminal record, he can take better care of his family, although attorneys say this is not easy. Wisconsin's expungement laws are pretty restrictive. They say this is the only state where you have to prove you deserve an expungement right when you're sentenced, and you also had to be under age 25 at the time of that offense. A bill has been expungement, making the law less restrictive. There will be more clinics like today's scheduled in Dane County. Those are also funded by the county.
Amanda Quintana reporting on. Amanda, thank you. City officials and members of the community are celebrating the grand opening of Madison's latest fire station. Station 14 opened about a month and a half ago. For years, people living on Madison's southeast side had to wait between 10 and 15 minutes for emergency crews to respond. And since this station opened, response times have been cut down to 5 minutes or less on Madison's southeast side.
This is a dedication of a station, but it's truly a dedication to the men and women who have served this community for well over a century, continue to serve it today, and will serve it in the future.
Now, in addition to serving as a fire station, the state-of-the-art facility was constructed to serve as a community meeting space, a training center. The community room may be reserved for public use. It'll also serve as a classroom for future fire academies and continuing education. The department is also making multiple cancer prevention efforts with this new station. Those include special washing and drying machines for gear and a detoxification sauna.
The skin absorbs many of the carcinogens when a firefighter goes into a smoky fire environment, and it has a tendency to hold that. And so through sweat therapy, through sauna therapy, the body releases a lot of those toxins. The skin does.
Mayor Soglin says the city is looking to rebuild or reconstruct 10 more fire stations in Madison.
There's more to come tonight on News 3 Now at 5. When we come back, 2 people are in custody accused of attacking an actor in Chicago. We'll tell you what we know about them.
Chicago police say the two men being questioned in the attack on Empire actor Jussie Smollett are considered suspects.
A police spokesman says the men were arrested on suspicion of assault and battery. They've identified the men only as two Nigerian brothers. Police have been questioning them since they were picked up by officers at O'Hare Airport on Wednesday after returning to the city from Nigeria. Attorney Gloria Schmidt says the suspects worked with Smollett on Empire and have spent time with him at the gym. Local reports suggest that Jussie Smollett staged the attack looking for attention because his character was being written off of Empire.
The Chicago police tweeted that reports about the incident being a hoax have yet been unconfirmed by case detectives. Now, 21st Century Fox also disputes reports and says Smollett remains a core player on the show and the company stands behind him.
Let's get a check on the weather now. Gary Canalti is live on location at the circus tonight. Gary?
Hey, it's mid-February. Of course, it's time for the Zora Shrine Circus here in Madison. It begins tonight, starting with a show at 7 o'clock. And I'll have more details on the circus itself. It runs through tomorrow and Sunday as well for additional show times. But you have to get here first. Tonight is actually pretty nice weather-wise. Skies are generally clear. They'll turn partly cloudy overnight. But unfortunately, temperatures are going to be on the cold side. Let's start out by taking a look at visible cloud track. You can see just a few high clouds coming in from the west. On Doppler track, there is some snow to our south and west. That system will stay to our south, but another system will catch us on Sunday with the possibility for some snow, maybe a couple of inches of accumulation. In fact, already winter weather advisories have been issued for much of Iowa for Sunday into Sunday night for the possibility for some accumulating snow. Otherwise, as we take a look at current temperatures, they're cold. 16 in Madison right now. Still some single digits out to the west in western Minnesota, but these temperatures will start to come up a little bit for tomorrow. We'll be back in the mid-20s. Live view from the Edgewater Sky Cam in downtown Madison. Still see some sunshine through the clouds, but temperatures, like I say, are on the cold side. We dropped to 2 degrees last night. Our high today, 20 so far, but that was actually early this morning as those temperatures were dropping. And right now, our temperature is at 16 degrees, winds out of the northwest at 7 miles per hour. That gives us a wind chill of 6 degrees above zero. So as we come back and take a look at the weather track, you can see the jet stream basically moving from west to east. So that system to our south will stay to our south. Our snow will come in from Montana and the Dakotas. Won't have a lot of moisture associated with it, but enough that we probably could squeeze out a couple of inches of snow. The main storm system has moved off to the east. High pressure is building in, but the next weather system is already starting to develop farther out to the west. And as we check out the current temperatures right now, they're generally in the teens and single digits, even a few below zero temperatures up in the Dakotas. Down to the south, temperatures are mainly in the 20s. But as we come back and take a look at the future track, you can see how the partly cloudy skies tonight will start turning cloudy by tomorrow night. The snow should arrive late tomorrow night as that next weather system comes in from the west. And you can see generally bringing some light snow. The more persistent snows will stay out to the west of us, but it should be enough to generate at least a little bit of accumulation, maybe a couple of inches across southern Wisconsin. So our forecast for tonight calls for another low temperature of around 2 degrees above zero, but at least the wind should be lighter for tonight. That means that we're not looking at much in the way of wind chills. For tomorrow, look for a high temperature of 25, so not as cold as today with partly sunny skies. As we check out future track, you'll see those temperatures dropping pretty quickly after sunset down to around just above zero here in Madison, maybe slightly below zero to our north and west. Then high temperatures tomorrow should be in the middle 20s. Tomorrow night, the clouds thicken up. The snow starts to arrive late at night. Temperatures will drop into the teens and then it will start rising again. And on Sunday, look for occasional light snow or snow showers. High temperatures will be in the middle 20s. And as far as the snowfall amounts are concerned, probably about 1 to 3 inches most areas, maybe some 4-inch amounts out toward the Mississippi River and over far southeastern Wisconsin with some lake effect snow later on. Then as we take a look at the 10-day forecast, you'll see those temperatures generally slightly below normal for the early part of next week. See another chance of light snow on Wednesday and then some light snow from Saturday into Sunday of next weekend. By that time, temperatures will be back into the lower 30s. So let's talk circus. The Zora Shrine Circus right now. Look at this. The camels are out behind us right now. They just brought them out into one of the rings. They're setting up some of the entertainment for the kids here. First showtime tonight is at 7 p.m. And if you're coming out, it's at the Coliseum next to the Alliant Energy Center. As far as the times are concerned, 7 p.m. tonight. There are shows tomorrow at 10 a.m., 2:30 p.m., and 7 p.m. And then on Sunday from 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. shows. And I'll tell you, I've been going to this circus for about the last 10 years or so, and it is always packed with some great acts. We just saw that there was a gentleman working the high wire behind us. That's a little too high for me off the ground, but still, the camels are out here, the elephants are getting ready to come out, the clowns are warming up, so it's showtime in about a little less than 2 hours here at the Coliseum.
Nobody gets more excited about the circus than Gary Canalti. It is circus time, as they say.
You bet.
Be a special night. Lots of kids will be
Have
down
fun, Gary. Good job.
Ahead on News 3 now at 5, a new device helping low birth weight babies born with a common heart defect. We'll have the story of a girl from Ohio who is the first now in the country to receive this device. Each year, nearly 12,000 very low birth weight babies are born with a common heart defect that needs immediate attention.
Now the FDA has approved a new device that can treat the tiniest infants. Tracy Townsend introduces us to a little girl from Ohio who is one of the first in the country now to receive the device.
Irie and Judah Felkner are typical toddlers, according to their mom, Krissa.
Irie's a fighter. I mean, both of them are.
The twins have been through a lot.
You hadn't been able to hold them.
No.
Born 13 weeks early, they were fighting for their lives. Then came the diagnosis that Irie, born at just 1 pound, 13 ounces, had a heart defect known as a patent ductus arteriosus, or PDA.
I was honestly, truly scared that we were not going to bring her home.
A PDA is a potentially life-threatening opening between two blood vessels leading from the heart, which increases blood flow to the lungs, making it hard to breathe. Doctors told the Felkners about a new device to close the opening called the Piccolo. Smaller than a pea, the device from Abbott can be implanted in babies weighing as little as 2 pounds through a minimally invasive procedure using a catheter to direct the device to the heart.
You put in this little plug. It takes 20 minutes.
Dr. Evan Zahn of Cedars-Sinai Smith Heart Institute explains how it works.
The Piccolo device is advanced into the PDA just by gently pushing it out. So there's the first disc, there's the middle section, and there's the last disc. And that goes right into the PDA and plugs it almost immediately. We can reposition it by just withdrawing it back in the catheter and doing the whole thing over again until we think it's perfect.
Irie was one of the first babies in the U.S. to have the device while it was being tested. She was breathing on her own just 3 days later.
She's a part of medical history. That's crazy at 6 weeks old. Look what you're doing for the world, Irie.
Now, 18 months old, both Irie and Judah have no limitations, and their mother couldn't be more grateful. Tracy Townsend, CBS News, Columbus, Ohio.
PDA accounts for up to 10% of all congenital heart disease. For most babies, the PDA closes on its own just after birth, but for preemies, it tends to stay open.
And stay with us. We'll have one more check of the forecast when we return in just a moment.
Here's a look at some of the stories we are working on tonight. We are on the scene of that workplace shooting outside Chicago. Our correspondent is there gathering the latest information. We're going to take a look at what happens now on the border following the president's national emergency declaration. And Steve Hartman on the road, proving it takes a village. It's all tonight on the CBS Evening News.
Maybe a little more snow on the way tomorrow night.
Yeah, by the time we get to Saturday night into Sunday, some more snow could be coming our way. We got to get through another cold night tonight, but we still should be pretty quiet overall weather-wise. We're talking about temperatures in the teens right now, but those temps will continue to fall through the teens into the single digits, close to zero as we wake up on Saturday morning. An alert day in the forecast for late Saturday night into Sunday, about 1 to 3, maybe 1 to 4 inches of snowfall closer to the Mississippi River Valley. Then as we head into next week, a few more chances for snow, but temperatures not bitterly cold, and we actually could be close to normal in temperature land by the end of next week.
We take that.
Yes.
Return to normalcy, Dave. Thank you. We'll be back for more updates. 30 minutes on News 3 now at 6. CBS Evening News is next.